Apologies about the different setup today. We're just gonna have to live with it. I am so excited to be finally getting back to it today because the last video actually kind of popped off. I'm actually gonna check the stats for it right now. We're talking about off campus again today. I'm so excited to finally get back to this video. I have been so busy, so stacked, and I posted the last video like fucking 2 weeks ago. Just say my life has been hectic. It's been so hectic recently, and I've been in between like house sitting jobs and all that, and I accidentally left my off-campus books, so the goal and the score, I left them at my aunt's house.
Oh my god, my Shayla. My Shayla.
And now I have no books to show off to you guys, so I'm so sorry about that. We're just gonna have to use our imaginations. I would have like set it up on the table all cute, but unfortunately I have no books. Would have set it on like the windowsill or something. We're here to talk about episodes 4 through 8 of Off Campus because I talked about episodes 1 through 3 in my last video, and if you haven't watched that, go watch it. Nice to see you guys again. This is just a funny story that I have related to this book series because I loved it so much, but one of my friends was like, hey, I want to read a romance book, what do you recommend? And I was like, boy, do I have the book for you. I got her a copy of The Deal, or I gave her mine, and I had annotated and wrote notes on the whole book. She read it, and then she got all the way to the end. Thank goodness. A lot of people don't actually read the books that I give them, but she read the whole thing, and she said that it was a good book, but she wouldn't read it if I had not written all of my comments. So she was like, I just don't think romance is for me. And I was like, that's fair, honestly. Somebody in my last video told me that I was misremembering The Deal. So I went back and reread it, but I was left a comment that was kind of right. But I would like to argue because I like to argue. Episode 3 ends with Hannah asking Garrett to give her an orgasm, right? And she frames it in this way of like, things are going really well with Justin. I want you to give me an orgasm so that I can go back to him, right? That's how it's framed in the show. And I said I didn't love that because in the book, Justin's an afterthought. Like, she's already with Garrett. She's exploring her body with Garrett. That's great. Do it with someone you trust, right? And I was like, Justin, he's not in the story anymore, which isn't technically true. It's not true. They are technically right that I was not being really truthful, that Justin is not in the story anymore, which is kind of what I had said word for word. That's not really what I meant, though. And so I reread the books just to make sure that I got my facts correct. Here's what I found. So, chapter 19, Justin says something about them planning a date, and he says, are we still on for Sunday? And she's like, oh yeah, absolutely, we're still on for Sunday. And then they go their separate ways. Chapter 20, she goes to a party, right? She gets fucked up at this party. And she trusts Garrett with her drinks. She trusts him to hold her drink. She trusts him as a person. She's opening up to him, right? And then she sees her ex-boyfriend at a party who insinuates that she can't orgasm. And that makes her really sad and upset. This is chapter 20 in the book, right? And then chapter 21, she gives Garrett a spiel about how much she trusts him and about how much she, cares about him and how much she's grateful that he cares about her, goes home with him, sleeps in his bed. And then the two of them, they lust over each other like crazy. Next morning, she wakes up, she says, hey, I want you to give me the gasm. He agrees. Chapter 23, he talks to Birdie about it, which in the show he talks to Dean about it, but you know what? He goes to Birdie about it, and he's like, hey, Birdie, give me some advice. I want to perform well for my girlfriend or whatever, right? Chapter 24, Hannah goes to his place. They talk like how much they trust each other and how much they're attracted to each other. Chapter 25 is when they actually do the toe curling scene, which is the only way that I'm going to describe it because I really don't want to call it any sort of scientific name that it actually is. It's great. And she's like, okay, now dig me down. And he says no. That's a big thing. He's like, no, hey, I think we've done enough for today. Let's take baby steps. That's great. I loved that. And then chapter 26, Hannah goes to Allie and is like, hey, Allie. And Allie's like, are you sure you and Dean are... Dean, are you sure you and Garrett aren't dating? And Hannah's like, of course we're not dating. We're definitely not dating. And Allie's like, you sure? And Hannah's like, we're not, like totally in denial. Chapter 27, she goes back to his place. They do Gluck Gluck 9000 on each other, right? They're exploring each other's bodies more. Chapter 28, I don't know. I have in my notes that he was being a cutie pie. I don't know what he did, and then they're at a Halloween party together. Chapter 29, they finally fuck, right? And it's a big moment, and it's really about like trust and care and love, and it's very special, right? And then in chapter 30, Garrett finds out that Hannah was gonna go on a date with Justin. So then in chapter 31, he goes and confronts her about it, and he says, hey, you have a date planned with Justin? And she goes, yeah, but I don't know if I'm going or not. And he's like, of course you're not going. And she's like, yeah, I know. And then that's it. He's never brought up again, and they're dating now, right? That's it. So, of all the things that have happened, right, that is 10 plus chapters. Chapter 19 was the last time we brought Justin up. And then chapter 30 is when Garrett finds out Hannah had a date planned with Justin. That is 11 chapters of us not bringing up Justin at all, right? He's not relevant to the story, and he's not relevant to this blossoming relationship between Hannah and Garrett, right? That is kind of what I meant. He's an afterthought. He's not the reason why she's doing this. She's doing this because she's trusting and attracted to and likes Garrett, right? She explores her body with somebody that she trusts, and it has nothing to do with performing well for Justin. It has everything to do with her as a person and what she wants to do with a person that she trusts and explore her body with a person that she trusts. That's all I meant by that. I have no hate to this person whatsoever. And do I think that they were right technically? Yes, they were right technically. Justin is still a part of the story, but he's definitely not central to the story. Sorry, I'm having a really hard time getting comfortable on this chair because it's much smaller than my own. I've rewatched the show multiple times since I posted the last video, right? Like, I rewatched it while I was house sitting, and then I rewatched it again because I realized that all the notes I took for episodes 4 through 8 were from 12 or 14 days ago, right? And I was like, well, none of my thoughts are the same now that I rewatched it a bunch of times, so I have to rewatch it again so that I have the most updated version of my notes. And what I will say that I've learned sort of about myself and about this show in general and just kind of everything, what I'll say I've learned is that fundamentally I have already an inclination not to like the show because I don't like the two lead actors, right? I don't like that Hannah is awkward and stutters and does all the, oh my god, I'm so embarrassing.
The ground, stupid cheers. I'm a musician too. Writer, not performer.
We can study in my room.
Down here is fine.
No, it's better up there. No worries.
It gives me the ick after a while when she stutters so much and when she chooses to be, like, intentionally obtuse. It's just, I feel like there's a style of acting that's come about in the 2020s of a really awkward girl who's, like, very unsure of themselves and stutters a lot and is, like, I don't know how to explain it, but there's just a type of female archetype that has come about, especially in romances. I got kind of bored and dried up of Hannah. And then also, Garrett Graham was supposed to be this sassy pants, super hot guy who basically knew that he owned the world, like was really cocky. And this Garrett isn't that. And very much it shows, especially in these last 5 episodes, this cocky, sort of assholey but good person is supposed to show through, and I just don't get that. It kind of ruins it for me that he's not that way. And I'll get into that more later, but it does kind of annoy me that he lacks this really strong personality. So that's my 2 cents on that. I'll circle back to that later when I get into it. But let's start with episode 4 and pick up where we left off. Hannah tells her story to Garrett, right? And says that she was raped. I don't know if I can say that word. I'm just going to. I don't know. If YouTube starts to yell at me for it, then I'll figure it out later, I guess. But Hannah was raped. She goes and she tells Garrett about this, and she confides in him and says, like, I really trust you. I want you to know this so that you can understand my request. This scene, although a cute scene, but because I have just fresh off the press reread those last 10 chapters, it doesn't hit the same as it does in the book. Because in the book, it's, again, rooted in I am attracted to you and I know you're attracted to me. Like, I know that we have this sexual tension and this connection, and I know that I trust you with my life and with my drinks and everything like that. Now I want to explore my body with you, and I want you to help me out mutually. You know what I mean? I know that you want to because you're attracted to me and you've admitted that. And I know that we clearly have these really heated moments, as they did last night. Like, I would like to do this. And so he says yes. That's what happens in the book. And in the show, she says, point blank, like, I'm not even joking with you. The scene is, she says, things are going really well with Justin, and I just want to make sure that, you know, this is sorted out before I go back and hook up with Justin because his roommates are going to be out later. That feels really, really, really disrespectful towards Garrett. Like, there is something about her saying, like, I know I trust you, that's why I want you to do this with me, but it's not, the whole scene, it's not rooted in their sexual tension because they really don't have any moments of having this, like, push and pull together where they do in the book. In the show, they don't have this foundation of we're really attracted to each other. They don't even say that they're really attracted to each other. It is so transactional to the point where I was like, hey, I'm taken out of this scene. It's not cute or hot to me because she's so much on this train of like, okay, but I want to go back to Justin after, you know? And there's something about it that like really grinds my gears where I'm like, I wouldn't want to hook up with you if you present it as like, can you do it with me? And then I can go fuck somebody else. Like, it really makes me uncomfortable. But anyways, long story short, Garrett agrees to give Hannah her orgasm. And they're like, okay, tonight, check. Flash forward, we get Tucker's scene, and he has a fruit baby. And it's a good foreshadowing to Tucker's season. Like, I actually really, really liked the foreshadowing. However, I still cannot get past Tucker as a character. I wanted someone that is similar to the Tucker that we see in the book, right? And like, regardless of look, he's supposed to be kind of a southern charm, very quiet guy. And in the show, he's a loser. He's a loser. He's kind of funny. He's the butt of the joke a lot. You know, he's a goofy guy, right? And me and my coworker were talking about this, right? And she was very much on the but he'll grow throughout the series. It's going to be a while until we get a season, right? We still have to get through seasons 2 and 3 before we even introduce season 4. And he has a lot that he goes through before those seasons, right? And he's going to grow a lot over those seasons. And in the show, he's like a year younger, I think, or like a semester younger. He's younger than he is in the books. And so you have to realize that over time he's going to grow up. And I'm like, I understand that, and I do get what she's saying, and like, take that however you want to take that. But for me personally, I just couldn't, I don't know, I just can't get past it. I don't see Tucker as being a goofy kind of butt of the joke guy. My coworker, she was like, picture like in the Thanksgiving episode, like he wants to provide for people. Like he clearly cares about people. We'll see what they do with it. I'm sure the actor could do a lovely job with either of these interpretations, but I think just over the course of the series, I don't see how it's going to go. But I'm choosing to put faith in it. I'm choosing to trust it, okay? Later on in episode 4, Garrett goes to Dean for sex advice, and they have this really, really, really healthy conversation.
I always knew this day would come. Well, Garrett, when a man and woman love each other very much...
All right, forget it.
Okay, hold up. I'm listening.
About trust and about having a partner that trusts you and about making women comfortable. And it's a very, very, very healthy conversation, and I loved to see it. The only thing is, like, this is a show for women, and so not obviously they say that, but it does hurt to know that more men won't see this conversation. You know what I mean? And I know that they're not gonna, because they don't care for romance books and romance TV shows, but they should. It's finally time for Hannah to get her little gasm, right? And I'm so excited for her. She shows up in this tight little black dress and a cute as fuck dress. I loved it. She showed up looking adorable, but she also showed up looking like she was about to go to a club. I was like, girl, we're not going anywhere. We're climbing into bed. That's the whole point. Do we need to get all dolled up to climb into bed with Garrett? Hey. And then Garrett comes downstairs and he's wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt. I was like, oh, I would have jumped off a bridge. I'm so sorry. I hate being overdressed or underdressed to anything, right? The way that I would have literally wanted to leave right then, I would have been like, oh, you look very different than I do right now. And then I would have left. I would have dipped. I would have been out of there. Maybe it's a me thing, but like, she was so overdressed. And if I was that overdressed, I'd be so embarrassed. And I just don't know why she got all dressed up. Y'all are climbing into bed. That's the whole point. You don't need to be wearing all that full beat and everything. I was like, okay, girl. They have their cute little moment, and then that scene comes up, right? And I just have to ask, why did we zoom in on the toes? Like, I really don't get it. Of all the things to prove that they, like, finished, that was not one of the ones that I wanted to see. You could have done like a nice side profile of their heads rolling back. You could have done looking in each other's eyes. They could have said something. The toes was not what I wanted to see. It really, really, really wasn't. I was horrified. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I don't want to see any more of that. I do not want to see any more of that. I'm gonna be so honest with you. No more of that. The rest of the scene, I'm so sorry. I can't not bash on this scene because it was rough. You cannot tell me that either one of them, A, was actually even doing anything to themselves. Like, it was very obvious that they weren't doing anything. And I was like, we're literally only showing their shoulders, like, here and up. we could have made it a little more believable. It was not believable at all for me. But as soon as I got past that, I also had the other issue of this is not sexy. Picture it with no music, right? If you're watching the scene, picture it with no music, just silence and like weird heavy breaths. They're not saying anything to each other that makes them feel more comfortable. They're not really like interacting with each other. They're not touching each other at all. Like, I know that they're not supposed to be touching each other, but like something to make it feel a little more intimate. I was like, he's sitting in a gaming chair right now. I was like, I don't know. It would not have done it for me personally. And I really don't think it did it for her either. You can't tell me that either one of them got off from that. I'm so sorry. The next scene, Garrett is like, shit, I'm super in love with Hannah. Admits this all to all of his teammates, right? And he's like, hey, I think I've got a crush on Hannah. And everybody's like, yeah, you do. You definitely do. You definitely really, really, really like Hannah. And obviously Logan gets jealous, but like he's a side note, he's an afterthought, whatever. Garrett admits that he likes Hannah, and that's it. That's the end of that scene. Immediately, drunk Shakespeare. Incredible scene, by the way. Incredible addition. I was so impressed. And I forget the guy's name, but Miles, the narrator of the story, incredible job. He did so well, and he looked so good. It made the scene so much better, like narrating the whole thing. And I loved Miles throughout that scene. So it was incredible. It was incredible. Allie looked incredible. That corset ate down so hard, and I loved it. I loved it. Like the corset with the flowy things and the hair. I was like, Allie. Whoever put her in that needs a raise. They need a raise so bad. Oh, also, I want to do a little bit more research on A Midsummer Night's Dream because I remember reading it. And I want to know if there was more parallels that I didn't notice because I don't remember A Midsummer Night's Dream like that. Parallels between A Midsummer Night's Dream and what was going on with the show at the time. And kind of compare the two because I feel like there was a lot to unpack there. But I haven't really done any research into that. So I'm not gonna go on a spiel here because I don't really know. But I do want to say that I think that it was a great choice because like love square, love potions, Drunk Shakespeare ends, right? They pack it up. And then Hannah goes and admits her feelings to Garrett in this big romantic gesture at the hockey rink, which was a cute romantic gesture. However, I feel like order of events, he should have admitted his holy crap. He should have admitted his feelings towards her, and then she should have gone back to Justin and then been like, okay, I was wrong. Now I have to do a big romantic gesture to get him back. But instead, we just get her admitting her feelings and then him saying, okay, so we are on the same page. I feel like I'm lacking a reveal. Unfortunately, I wanted to see a love confession from him. I wanted to see him say like, I really, really like you. I really want to actually date you. Admitting his feelings towards her to her, right? She doesn't get this big romantic gesture. How the fuck does she know that he's going to respond passionately? I don't know. In the book, they talk about how attracted they are to each other a lot and how close they get. And their relationship develops a lot more than I see in the show. And I feel like there's a big disconnect for me with him admitting his feelings towards her to her and him talking about how attracted he is to her, right? Like, we don't see him really explore his feelings like that. And I get that the idea is, like, he's disappointed that she went off with Justin after drunk Shakespeare. And she did technically betray him like that, which is true, but how is she supposed to know he holds any feelings towards her at all when he doesn't communicate those at all? Which is another problem I have going on through the episodes. He's a problem with communicating, right? Which is a big red flag for me. And I start to get the ick towards the end of the series. But this is the first part where I'm like, hey, I wish he said something. It feels like he should be the one admitting his feelings first, saying, hey, please don't go out with Justin. I want you to come back to me. I want you to come home with me. And then she says, let me go to Justin. And then she has to say that she's wrong. So let me know what you think about that. Because honestly, am I in the wrong here? This story starts falling apart for me because I'm like, things just start feeling off. But let's keep going. Episode 5 is the Thanksgiving episode. And it starts, maybe not immediately, but it starts with a montage of Hannah and Garrett fucking because they're now in a relationship and they're doing it all the time. Like rabbits, they're going at it all the time. And it's a montage of a bunch of different scenes of them doing it. And in the book, you have this big, slow buildup of them exploring each other's bodies and about exploring the trust that those two have with each other. I would assume you would want to go slower. And, with the way that Hannah's definitely processing her trauma, and she still is to this day trying to live with her trauma. You would think that you would go slower and explore each other's bodies more and get really comfortable with each other, and you don't really get that. There was less build up to this moment in the relationship where they finally feel comfortable with each other like that. There's none of that. There's just a montage of them just like going at it, and I'm like, that just feels like not how we would do it. Am I wrong for that? Like, genuinely, am I wrong for thinking that? But I feel like there should have been more care and more love and more of a slower build up to this moment. It feels like the puzzle pieces don't sit right of somebody who's been extremely traumatized by a man before, trying to trust and open up to this one and not going slow. Like a whole point in the book is that they take baby steps and they explore slowly. We move on to Thanksgiving, right? And in Thanksgiving, Tucker is so ready to throw a Thanksgiving party with his friends. He's ready to throw his Friendsgiving. Like, everybody's so happy for him. And then everybody dips, except Logan. And it made me really, really, really sad for Tucker. Like, he wanted to be there for his friends, and he wanted to host something for them, and nobody's going to show up. And it made me really, really, really sad. Like, I'm glad that some people did show up for him, but, like, if he doesn't have his guys and, like, his, like, found family, I was like, oh, well, that makes me really sad. I'm kind of disappointed. I liked the scene in general. Although Jules pissed me off so bad stealing the marshmallows, I was like, hey, put those back. Baby Tucker over there, he needs his marshmallows back. And here's the thing. If Jules was in the book and does this in the book, I don't think I'd be so irritated because it's supposed to happen. But when it's not written into the book, I was like, hey, I don't know you. I literally don't know you, and you're not relevant enough of a character yet for me to want to be on your side. So put those back. And then Logan and Jules have like a standoff, and they're arguing about their mother, right? And they're both kind of right in their own senses. So I do like that one of them's not like a clear wrong one. But I will say Jules was pushing way too hard on, you have to go support our mother. We have to be there for her. She's trying so hard. Da 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 da. And Logan's like, hey, I don't want to. And again, he's right for that because he's clearly more traumatized than Jules. And growing up, especially if he's the older brother in this story now, he's clearly seen more and been through more and doesn't want to put Jules through more. So I get it. If he expresses that boundary, though, Jules has to say, okay, fair. I'm going to go do this on my own then. And that should be it. Literally, I'm such a Logan apologist. Like, I feel like he's never done anything wrong in his life. And he clearly has. But, like, I don't think I'm wrong. I would side with this man all day, every day. If he says, hey, I don't want to visit our mother because I don't think she's showing real improvement yet, then Jules has to say, okay, fair, I'm going to go on my own. And that should be it. But Jules should not blame their brother and should not be giving Logan shit. Logan is expressing a boundary, and you have to be okay with that, Jules. Anyways, they end up showing up to rehab, and then, spoiler alert, they don't even see her. Now I'm just disappointed. We had a whole fight over nothing. We didn't even see the lady. And I'm like, it honestly feels stupid. I don't know. Something about it. I was just like, so this was all pointless. So this whole fight was pointless. Jules, you're getting mad at your brother for not coming to see your mother, but you don't even see her. You don't see her. So I'm like, anyways, whatever. Hannah and Garrett go to Garrett's dad's house for Thanksgiving, right? While they're there, Hannah obviously finds out that Garrett was abused, right? And on the way home from this obviously shit dinner, he opens up to her. And I really, really appreciated him opening up. I thought this was a really important scene. And he breaks down crying. And I understand that, but I cannot get past that there was not a single tear that falls from his eyes.
Should have told you everything.
Not even a single one. I was like, girl, cut the cameras, put some eye drops in there. I don't give a fuck, right? But the way that he's like doing the whole 9 yards and there's no tears, and this happens with Hannah too, and it pisses me off so bad. It takes me out of the scene when there's no tears, but you're supposed to be crying. I couldn't get past it, and it honestly made me almost laugh. By the fourth time I watched it, I was laughing. I'm sorry. And maybe that makes me a horrible person. As a scene, I really, 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 really respect it because I think that it's really important that men show this emotional side and open up and communicate about their traumas, which even though he lacks communication otherwise, he is communicating about something that is really important to him, and he is confiding in someone. And I really, really appreciate that. But where are the tears, brother? Also, what I have to mention is by this point in the 5th or 6th rewatch, I don't know where I'm at in rewatches, but by this point, I'm starting to realize I'm getting really irritated at Garrett's speech because he's always kind of choked on his words a little bit, right? Where it kind of sounds like he's like re-swallowing them in a way, and it gets really annoying.
I don't think it's a great idea. Go to sleep, Posey. Hey, you're not gonna remember any of this in the morning.
Really gravelly, and he's like choking on it. Like he has a very closed mouth speech, and he's like swallowing his words. I don't know. There's something about it though that I really start to get the ick from. I don't like it. Flash forward to episode 6. We get Allie and Dean. I loved it. I loved everything Allie and Dean, and the way that like everything that Hannah and Garrett have gone through up until this point flies out the window. I don't think about it anymore. I don't need to think about it. I don't want to think about it, right? I am locked in on Allie and Dean, right? They both have so much more personality. Their chemistry is so much stronger. They have so much more going for them than Hannah and Garrett. I'm like, fuck Hannah and Garrett. Get them out of here. I never want to see them again. Let me watch these two all day, every day. Doing their little secretive, sneaky link thing. I loved it. Loved it. I was eating that shit up. Anyways, we flash all the way back to karaoke night. There we see, obviously, Dean and Allie get together. They talk about their lives and their ambitions. And then immediately she goes and breaks up with Sean. And fuck Sean. We hate Sean. Thank God she's out of that, right? This guy, when he was like, you're out of chapstick. Like, I'm such a good boyfriend, you're out of chapstick, and I don't believe that you're breaking up with me, so fuck you, I'll see you in 36 hours. I was like, hey, I hate you. I literally hate this man. And Allie did good standing up for herself this time, because I think, honestly, it was kind of disrespectful for him to be like, well, I don't believe you, so I'll see you in 36 hours. I'm not going to respect your wishes at all. And then he shows up like 30,000 times throughout the rest of this thing. I was like, girl, go home. Go find a new girlfriend. She's clearly moved on. Like, bitch. They have their little clips of being together, and at one point they're playing chess together in Dean's apartment penthouse. Such a good scene. The chess scene, right? I loved it. He's being so romantic with her, and he looks at her like he's so in love with her. Like, I was such a fan.
I'm so glad Jensen's making us practice on Friday, because otherwise I'd be laying on a beach. Day drinking with Nick and destroying summer and beach volleyball.
God, you lead a tough life, Taylor Ennis.
The worst.
Sorry you can't be with your family, though. Seems like you miss them.
I get to be here with you.
I can't even explain it. It just, like, he's so in love with that woman, and you can tell. Allie spends a long time feeling guilty towards Sean. I was like, fuck that guy. Don't think about his feelings. Don't do any of that, right? Like, you can respect the relationship that you had and not feel responsible to make him feel better. But, like, the way that she feels this, like, really strong feeling of making him feel better, I was like, girl, pack it up. Just live your life. Live your best life. Life is too short to be worrying about your ex-boyfriend. Also, she spends a long time being like, it's so hot when somebody knows what they want. And Dean knows what he wants, and he wants Allie. And if a guy knew he wanted me like that, I would fold just as fucking fast. We enter the fundraiser, right, where John Logan is fundraising for a bunch of kids' youth sports clubs things. And I just genuinely, I thought that was so cute, so wholesome for Logan. I thought that was adorable. And Justin is there singing with his band, and I can't stand his singing, dude. I just don't think that that's my style of music, but I was like, turn it off. Every 5 seconds, I was like, turn it off. I don't want to hear anymore. At this fundraiser, or like before this fundraiser, Logan says, hey, Garrett, did you get your dad to sign a jersey? And Garrett's like, no, fuck off. I don't want him to sign a jersey. It's not going to happen this year. And then Logan goes, and obviously he needs this jersey for the fundraiser because it's like, they're really counting on Garrett because this is a big seller. Logan obviously wants to do good for this fundraiser, and he has something to prove with this fundraiser, right? Like, it's something that really means a lot to him. So he goes and he calls Garrett's dad, which why he has his number, I feel like already says a lot about how they clearly have enough of an established relationship for him to be calling this and it not be weird. But whatever. He calls Phil Graham and says, hey, can you do something for this fundraiser? And Phil Graham says, yeah, absolutely, because obviously cocky, pompous assholes have to prove that they're good people somehow, because they're not good people. But anyways, he says, yeah, absolutely, and he donates whatever, which is a really nice deal, right? And it probably jacked prices up so much, like it probably raised so much money for this fundraiser. But then Garrett gets super mad at him and is like, did you call my fucking dad? Right? In front of a bunch of like donors and people like that. And Logan is like, hey, you don't need to be yelling at me like that, right? Fair. Hey, fair, first of all. But Garrett is like, I told you not to do that. Like, it's not going to happen this year. Why would you fucking call him? He's not a good guy. And Logan's like, no, we all know he's not a good guy. But, like, it's for the kids. And he does this every year. He knows to expect it. We know to expect it. It's business, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you, right? And if Garrett had said, like, hey, I don't find him to be safe around kids because when I was a kid, he would beat me, that would be one thing. But he doesn't say any of that. He's just mad that Logan reached out to his dad without his consent. Like, again, if it was framed in this way of like, hey, my dad's a dangerous guy, then that makes sense. But no. It was very much like a, hey, I didn't want you to. Because I don't like my dad, and I don't want him around, and I don't want anyone talking about him. Then I was like, hey, dude, like, you could have just said, hey, I didn't appreciate you going behind my back to do that. And that could have been it. You know, we could have had a very civil conversation. Also, if you had opened up about the abuse, or if you had communicated, like, hey, I didn't reach out to my dad because we're on really rocky terms right now, and I don't feel comfortable reaching out to him, and I don't feel comfortable if anybody else reaches out to him, like I don't need to be near him, that would have been one thing. But you didn't say any of that. So Logan doesn't know any better, and he's only doing what's best for him, his fundraiser, and his teams. Forgive him. Like, dude, the way that I'm so on Team Logan here, I'm like, yeah, Garrett, you're being an asshole. You're horrible. Something to cool off the steam. Justin plays Hannah's song, and obviously it's not good, but Hannah gets really mad and is like, hey, I didn't give you consent to play that song. Which, honestly, fair, right? She's basically like, hey, you stole my song. I didn't want it to be performed. It's not ready to be performed yet. And Justin's kind of valid, where he's like, that's kind of my song because I wrote all the lyrics to it. And if you want a good song, you have to test it out. You have to perform it. And I did. And it seemed like the crowd liked it. And Hannah was like, okay, but that's not the song I wanted to be presented, right? But I'm like, it's not your song anymore, babe. And he basically says, like, just write your own damn lyrics, son, and then walks away, which is fair. Very fair. So we flash back to Allie and Dean, and Dean comes over to Allie's place, and they're super cute, super sweet, whatever. Hannah says that she's on her way home. Allie kicks Dean out. Dean forgets his jacket. And then 2 seconds after he walks out, Allie gets a knock on the door, and she goes, oh my god, he forgot his jacket. Grabs his jacket in her cute red lingerie, opens the door. Guess who it is? Sean. And that was the best revenge ever. I literally... The way that I was so like, oh my god, cute as fuck lingerie, and hold another man's jacket. Like, Sean can go eat dirt. That was amazing. I too would have been gagged. Episode 7 now. I wrote in my notes for episode 7 that it's a hot mess. That's the only way I can describe it. Basically what happens is Hannah finds out that Delaney, her rapist, is playing on the opposite team that Garrett is playing in this episode. And it's just... It feels very, pacing-wise, it feels very off. I don't know. There's something about episode 7 that, like, doesn't feel fluid. I don't know. We're flashing to the hockey game, and then we're flashing back to Hannah, and it's nighttime, and then you see them preparing for the hockey game, and then, like, it's just whiplash. Like, you see them going to face off for the puck, and then suddenly it's the day before the game. I don't know. Something about it. And I get that was supposed to be kind of, like, foreshadowing thing, or, like, whatever. I don't know. It just felt off. Hannah, obviously... finds out that Delaney is on the opposing team, and she freaks out, and she goes into a very particular trauma response, right, where she doesn't want to say anything or do anything or go out or be around it, which, like, fair. You don't want to subject yourself to being in the same room as them. You do not want that past coming up, right? And clearly it's up and it's in the forefront of her mind. I do not blame her for that. But I do believe that if you have promised somebody, if you've had, first of all, years of therapy, she does know how to respond to this nowadays, right? And she's not in a room with him. She's not around him anymore. She's not nowhere near this man, right? And I know that, again, she's having a very serious trauma response. And I empathize with that, I do. But I do believe that if you have a responsibility and you have made a promise, you've given your word to somebody that you are going to be there at their game for them, and especially if they want and need your support right now, you have a responsibility, especially if he's texting you urgently all the time. Your phone is right next to you the whole time. We see it going off. I feel like you have a responsibility to text even just the smallest thing and say, hey, I'm alive, I can't make it to the game today, I'll tell you why later. 3 sentences. Even you could just say, hey, I can't make it to the game today, but I'm okay. Like, something so simple would have solved all these problems. But like, I just think it's not healthy to not say anything, right? And it's not healthy to not have any response at all. If you make a promise to be there for somebody and you make a promise to show up at their games and be there to support them, he's worried that you're like fucking dead on the side of the road or something. Like, he's really worried about you. I think that like it does come down to personal responsibility. You should say, hey, I can't make it to your game today, I'm sorry. Right? That's it. That's all you need to say. On the flip side of that, Garrett is playing like shit and he's doing awful because his dad's there and he doesn't have Hannah there. And the way that makes me so annoyed, because first of all, your dad's been at games before, and second, you have had this pressure on you before and you haven't had a girlfriend. Why now is it that you can't do anything without this girl around you? Why does this man suddenly feel incompetent? Why does he feel like he can't play the game that he's been playing for, how many years has he been alive? For like the past 10 to 20 years, right? I personally don't believe that this should all stem from a woman. And if it does, hey, get therapy, right? But like, his performance should not base off of whether or not he has texted Hannah that morning, whether or not she's responded, whether or not He should be able to get up in the morning and do this at least to the best of his ability, right? But he's like playing like shit. He's being horrible with everybody on his team. He's not giving them the puck. He's screwing over the game for everybody. And if you realize that, it's the healthiest thing for you to say, hey, I think I'm off my game today. I really need somebody else to take over as center, or like I need a little less time on the ice, or, you know, just make sure you're communicating with me while we're on the ice. Something. In a sport that is so team-oriented, you can't play like shit like that, right? Just because your girlfriend's not texting you back. He has no idea what's going on with her. And I know that he knows that something's wrong because she's not responding, but you have a responsibility towards your team to not jeopardize everything because she's not there. You know what I mean? And it started to get on my nerves. In the locker room, Logan then confronts him and says, hey, you're playing like shit and you're being really rude and you're not helping us out and you're not the only person on this team. What is wrong? I need you to get it together. And then Graham yells at him.
We're on the same team, G. Don't you get that? You're not the only one who can play hockey. You're not the only one who's been busting their ass. And you're not the only one who wants to beat these motherfuckers. We are on the same team.
Logan, just give him a second to calm down, okay?
Fucking help, Tucker.
And Graham is so wrong in this situation. Like, he is literally the worst person I've ever met in this situation. Like, I got the ick so hard when he's being such an asshole, right? Because how are you this great guy being a great boyfriend with your girlfriend, but suddenly when it comes to your teammates, you're still a shit guy, right? Like, I would not want to be around you if you were talking to people like that. Especially if you were talking to me like that, I'd be pissed off, right? He's just being a dick towards Logan, all right? And he like hates him basically in this scene. Like, I just genuinely cannot get past that, because like, of the Garrett Graham that we have made up, that's not the cocky, you know, kind of pompous, sassy asshole that we have in the books. When we have one that's a little quieter and a little more caring, why can't he translate that to his team? He's supposed to be the team captain, and yet he literally cannot communicate with his teammates that he's having an off day. Crazy work. Crazy. So that pissed me off so bad, because I was like, I want to see a version of a man who can communicate that. And I think that would be much, much healthier if he said, hey, I think something's wrong with my girlfriend. Like, I'm really worried about her and I don't think I'm playing my best. Saying that much just to Logan, even if it's in private with Logan, it would have made the situation so much better, because he can empathize with the situation then. But saying nothing and just being a dick, horrible, 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 horrible. Hated it. You need therapy, sir. Like, go get some therapy, learn how to communicate a little bit better. I don't know what to tell you. I think just at the end of the day, Garrett Graham was selected to be a leader, right? A captain. And he's not. He's very much not. He's being really rude. He's being very selfish. He's not playing well based on his girlfriend and his dad. Like, I know that he was kind of sent off his rocker a little bit, but again, you have a responsibility to this team to play better and to stand up for them. We flash all the way back to Allie hanging out with Beau's sister, Joanna, and then they see Carter St. James. He's no, none of that for me. Which I think might have dreamt this up in my head, but I think I saw a picture of him with facial hair and he looks better. But this baby-faced ass, like, freshman, hated him. Did not like him at all. Also, I get it's a show, but, like, you're telling me a hockey player actually looks like that? Fuck no. Fuck no. They've got scars all over their body. They got bruises. They've been beat and bruised and battered. They're missing teeth all the time. They've got scars on their face. So many things. And yet, you're telling me that guy looks like that? And he plays hockey? Fuck no. Fuck no. Back to the game, though. Garrett finds out from Delaney that Delaney was the one who raped Hannah, right? And then goes and bashes his head in. Which, period, King. That guy deserves it. And Hannah's like, I didn't ask you to do that. No. Girl, just say he deserved it at least once. He did. He did. If we did that to more men who were rapists, we wouldn't have that many rapists. You know what I mean? I was a big fan of that. I was doing this. But whatever. Hannah meets up with Garrett outside of the game, which, by the way, we never ever find out, like, how that game actually ended. I would have loved to see the ending of that game and how disappointing it was for Garrett to watch that game, or the end of that game, before he walks outside. But he walks outside, and Hannah's standing outside, and she's like, what the hell, Garrett? I don't remember what she says.
What the hell, Garrett?
She basically gives him a bunch of shit and says, I didn't ask for you to do that. It has ruined everybody I know's life, and I don't want it to jeopardize yours. And she's fair for saying that. And then he dumps her. Because she says, I'm scared, Garrett. I don't want you to ever do that to anybody ever again. And he says, you're scared of me? And then basically says, well, I'm going to go on and be an abuser like my dad because that's who I am and that's in my blood. Can't be with you. And the self-sabotage is so wow. Hey, self-worth out of 0, self-sabotage on 100. Like, I was like, what? What? In the books, don't know if y'all remember, which I hope y'all do, but, like, in the books, basically, Phil corners Hannah and is like, hey, I need you to break up with my son. He can't go fighting over a woman's honor ever again. I need you to break up with him. I need his head to be in the game from now on. So if you don't break up with him, I'm going to take away all of his money, all of his opportunities, get rid of his scholarship at, like, Briar. I'm going to make sure he doesn't go into professional hockey and he's going to have nothing. Do you want that for him? No? Okay, break up with him. And then Hannah goes and breaks up with him. In the show, Garrett breaks up with Hannah and is like, you're scared of me? Like, I'm going to turn out just like my dad. I guess we can't be together. Hard for me to believe. For somebody who is so adamant to not be like their dad, is so convinced he's going to be, right? I just think that it's an oxymoron. He breaks up with her, and I saw, this is hearsay, right? This is from somebody on the internet, right? I saw that somebody on the internet said that the reason why Garrett had to break up with Hannah is because when the book was written, this is, again, a rough translation, but they said when the book was written, student athletes couldn't accept scholarships. But now, with the rise of Instagram and the internet and everything, especially the Liquid IV ad, right? It's very obvious that Garrett has money of his own. He doesn't need his dad's money. So, therefore, Phil can't say, like, Hannah, you need to break up with him or I'm going to financially, like, cut him off. I get that. I do. But I will say it was perfectly easy to say the same thing for Phil to be like, hey, if you don't break up with my son right now, I'm going to blacklist him from every single team roster and he's not going to be able to play in the NHL and he's going to have no dreams and no desires anymore. And if you don't want that to happen to him, break up with him. And I feel like that was a very simple way of saying it, very simple way of ending it. And I totally would have believed that. And I'm pretty sure most people would totally have believed that. So why didn't we just do that? Just me? Okay. At the end of the episode, Hannah calls her mom. Like, her bike, like, breaks down or something, or she falls off the bike, and she's sitting down and she calls her mom, and they have this very, very, very sweet, special conversation. A lot of people were very distracted by the helmet during that conversation, and I get that it was supposed to be on, but, like, dude, after seeing that meme of the helmet being super big, I just genuinely, I can't take her seriously in this. But she does the exact same thing as Garrett, where she's having this really sad, heartbroken conversation, and she's, like, so upset, and she's crying with no tears, and she's just like,
I'm the reason for the therapy bills and the lawyer. Garrett, I ruined your lives, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
And when you're doing the whole thing, I want to see some tears, and I see nothing. I'm like, dude, cut the cameras for 1 second. Have somebody run up with some eye drops and just have them fall. Like, I just genuinely, it takes me out of the scene so much, because her mom is being so good over the other end of the phone, but like, she's sobbing and there's no tears, and it made me so annoyed. I'm sorry. We're finally on to the last episode, guys. Hannah is working at Malone's, and she seats a table of 4 guys, right? And she's about to go serve them. And they say these really weird comments that do not make it sound like what it is. They make it sound like she's a prostitute. Like, they make it sound like she's from a brothel. Like, it's weird the way that they frame it. They're like, can we actually sit somewhere else? Can we sit somewhere else? And then she's like, well, I promise I'll take good care of you. Like, I'll throw in a pie on the house if you want that. And they're like, we have girlfriends. We all have girlfriends. Like, please don't get near us. Like, please don't get near. Like, shut the fucking bubonic plague or something. Like, I just genuinely, I don't understand it, right? And then Sean comes in and she's like, hey, I just had this really weird situation. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I heard about that. You might not want to know, but, you know, I'm just going to say it. Garrett obviously invoked a campus-wide hands-off law, right? So then she barges into the men's locker room, which is, again, something that happens in the book, which was great. Great that they, like, added that. And then we see 3 weenies. I did not need to be seeing all that. I do not. I can leave that up to my imagination. Even if we see, like, asses, I'm okay with that. That's just muscle. But, like, full-on weenies. And we zoomed in, too. This was unnecessary. Unnecessary. She confronts Garrett, right? And says, like, hey, you invoked a campus-wide hands-off law, and obviously, because he was the one to break up with her, that doesn't make any fucking sense, right? If he breaks up with her, why would he then say nobody else can get with her? And then he says, no, I didn't. I definitely didn't invoke a campus-wide hands-off law. And then she's like, oh. And then they made it a funny miscommunication, but it like really irritated me, because I was like, well, it's now just stupid to even put that part in if he didn't even do that. But like, whatever, they laughed it off. It really irritated me because that was such a pivotal moment in the books, and it shows that Garrett Graham is supposed to have this like pompous asshole personality, but like at the end of the day, A, he's always right and he knows it, but B, like, he still cares and he still loves, right? And again, if it's a TV show based off of a book, it's not supposed to be totally realistic. So many of these things are totally not realistic. Like, of all the things in this show specifically, there are so many things that happen that aren't realistic. Why is this the one thing where we're like, we have to make it more realistic? Like, he would never say that. Like, we could have had a sassy, sort of assholey, always right, but really a deep down good guy. We could have had that guy be like, yeah, I did, because we're meant to be together. In the books, like, he's like, oh, hey, girlfriend. And she's like, don't call me that. I'm not your girlfriend, I'm not your baby. You can't invoke a campus-wide hands-off law. And he's like, well, too bad, because, like, we're meant to be together and you know it and I know it, so let's just stop lying to ourselves. And that's it. And it makes perfect sense to me, where I'm like, yeah, he would do that. Like, that's something that this character would do, and it's supposed to be cute and sweet. The way that this scene was, like, now completely unnecessary because he didn't even do that, I was like, well, we've dismantled the campus-wide hands-off law. It's not this great, funny scene that I think about a lot. It was disappointing. We go to the NCAA meeting, right? And Garrett is there. He says, yeah, I've been suspended for 4 games. And they're like, that's great, but that's not enough. We could brush this under the rug, but you've also done more things that have violated our terms. And he's like, what? Like, what? And they say, you posted this video on your social media that shows that you attended a Bruins practice. And he was like, excuse me, that video was taken after practice, right? And they're like, that's not clear in the video, but he did explain that it was taken after practice. I literally didn't break the rules. I know it seems like I broke the rules, but I didn't. And they're like, well, too bad. That means you're an ineligible player, and that means that Sorrryyyyy rostered an ineligible player, which means that Sorrryyyyy has no standing in the conference. So we're just gonna take away all of their wins, and you're gonna have nothing now. And it was like, holy shit. Like, the first thing I want to say about that is, like, nobody warned him. Nobody even contacted Sorrryyyyy and said, hey, he's an ineligible player because he's been to professional Bruins practices, right? No one said that. You would think Sorrryyyyy would be notified that they have rostered an ineligible player. That's crazy. That's crazy that nobody said anything, right? And then also, like, you decide at the end of the season, sort of at the end of the season, that now you're going to take away all the wins that this team has had. You can't say at any point, hey, you have an ineligible player, your wins are not gonna count. Like, nobody said anything until he beat up this guy. That's crazy. That, I don't believe that for a second. If it's winter now, right? If Thanksgiving has already happened, it's literally December, and this game was taken prior to the start of the season, as they explicitly stated it is taken prior to the start of the season. That means that this video was taken in July or August. You're telling me that over that course of 4 or 5 months, nobody said, hey, you need to take that video down, which they could have the NCAA could have reached out to him and said, hey, you're in violation of our terms, take the video down. No one said that either. You're crazy for thinking that I would believe that. You have now screwed over the whole team, everybody there. And I was like, holy shit, you guys suck. This sucks so bad. I was like, guys, what are we doing? That's more unbelievable than campus-wide hands-off, right? That's more unbelievable than Phil Graham going up to Hannah Wells and telling him to break up with his son, right? Like, it totally unbelievable. Anyways, I have a huge problem with that. Like, Allie hooks up with that babyface guy, right? And we don't really know, but we find out later that's Hunter Davenport, and apparently Davenport hooks up with Hunter, and then we find out it's Hunter, and then we find out that Dean has major beef with Hunter for some reason because Hunter went to school with Summer. So apparently they hate each other and they have some rivalry for some reason, and we don't fully have that flushed out. The hockey players have their first game without Garrett, and obviously they win because they have to have some sort of small win before the end of the season. Hannah and Allie have this really cute talk. Allie says, you're the friend. Like, I always knew that you were the friend. I was just waiting for you to be ready to tell me, right? And I still love you for everything that you are, and I appreciate you so much, and I think that you are a really good person, and I love you so much, right? And they have this really cute talk, and it was very sweet, and I appreciated it. Relatively short talk though, and I'm glad we kept it short and sweet. Everything is kind of coming together for Hannah, right? Even without Garrett, she's still kind of finding her way. Then she gets inspired for the song, and she goes and confides in Jules, which I thought was really cool, that Jules and Hannah have this like moment, right? And they really form like this connection. Honestly, I've only had negative things to say about Jules so far, but that was really sweet. I really liked that moment. Showcase comes up, right? Which they definitely would have scratched her name off from the showcase by now, but whatever. She's in the showcase, and she goes to perform her song, and it's bad, dude. It's bad. Like, I think it had potential to be a good song. I think, honestly, the lyrics weren't the worst, and I think, honestly, the lyrics made so much sense with how the story went, but, like, for the bridge, she just sits there, like, DJing it, and it was weird. It was bad. I did not like it.
She's really good.
I really didn't like it. Like, there's no better way to say that. Like, I did not like it at all. So that was that. It was interesting. Let's just say that. I'm sure there's an audience for that song somewhere, but I'm definitely not it. After the game and this showcase, they go to celebrate at Malone's, and Allie and Dean are talking, and Allie told him to go hook up with someone else. And so he comes back to her and says, hey, I didn't complete the assignment. And he's so proud of himself, and it made my heart, it was shattered. I was like, oh, when he says, like, I didn't complete the assignment, and he's so proud of himself, and he's like, I like you. I really like you. I want to take you out. Like, I want to do all the things. I want to do this with you. And she's like, you didn't complete the assignment. You had to complete the assignment. And he's like, well, why? And she's like, because I fucked someone else, and now I feel like a shitty person. And it just, like, the whole thing, it made my head spin, it made my heart break, and, like, this doesn't happen in the books. So I was on the edge of my seat. I was eating that shit up. I was like, oh my god, 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 oh my god. But honestly, with a lot of the original things they've put in, I really liked those changes, but a lot of the things that they've changed, I don't like. I think that that's kind of my way of describing it, but, like, genuinely, I was like, so. And then Hunter walks in, and then they go and they start brawling, even though they're supposed to be on the same team together now. And I'm like, I'm so excited for the next season. We'll see how that ends, because none of us know how it's gonna end. Trust me on that. I can make my guesses. I can make very educated guesses, but, like, I genuinely don't know what the way they're gonna take this, and I'm so excited to see what they do with it. What I will say is, overall, I think when adapting a book to a movie or to a show, with specifically books with such a cult-like, passionate, really intense fandom like this one, it's hard to do everything right in everyone's eyes, right? And I think in a lot of ways they did more good things than bad things, but like where things went wrong, I got really iffy. It seems just so unnecessary to have to change this to this, but not this to this. There were just a few too many tweaks for me. I know I talked a lot about Hannah and Garrett, but that's because they're a majority of the story. Overall, Dean and Allie, they were what I wanted to see. They were the show for me, right? Dean has so much character and has this deep personality that can be fun and flirty and friendly, but also like really caring. And knowing what he goes through in the books, I'm gonna be fucked up after season 2. Season 2, it's gonna eat me alive. Allie and Dean, they ate down. They were everything to me. The story of Garrett and Hannah was so magical in the books. Like it lacked so many aspects and elements that I was anticipating in the show that it fell very flat for me. Was it a good story overall? Yes. And did it have very, very good moments and very good elements? Yes. But I think I just had too many issues with it to love it unconditionally. And I know that it's because I have such a bias towards the books. So I will be sticking around for season 2. I do think that season 2 can be literally incredible. Literally, the way that I think that season 2 could be so amazing. I just think season 1, Hannah and Garrett were just not done complete justice, if that makes sense. Please let me know all of your thoughts on what I've had to say today. I know I talk a lot, and sometimes my opinion isn't really fully fleshed out, and I'm not really well articulated, but let me know your thoughts and what you felt throughout the whole series, and let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the things I've had to say. But I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope that we can all come back here for a little kiki about season 2. And let me know what you're excited to see next, all the updates that you have. But yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Anyways, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. Love seeing it for you guys. Yeah, I hope you all have a great day. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys. Anyways, if you've made it this far, thank goodness. I hope we can all circle back for season 2 and have another key about season 2. And hopefully I'll be a little more fleshed out on my books at that time. But yeah, I hope you have a great day. Anyways, I hope you have a great day and a great evening and a great night or whatever, great week, however. And I'll see you in the next one. Also, I'm thinking about making a video on my unhinged thoughts on Wicked. Let me know if you want to see that. Okay, love y'all. Goodbye.